Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we talk about horror movies on this show. And this episode, we are going to talk about a film that won a Patreon vote. Because every month on patreon.com/mailedfuzztv, we put 4 movies up for a vote. Our patrons decide which one's going to win, and then we'll do that one the following month. So there's a vote right up right now. If you haven't voted yet, if you're a patron, or if you're thinking about becoming a patron, go and vote over at mailedfuzztv on Patreon. But the winner was Wreck. We did a zombie themed vote, because it is actually the 50th, 60th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead this year. 60th? No, 50th. It's the 50th.
Because it would have been 68.
Yeah. My math is terrible, but 50th, yeah. So it was all zombie movies. And because Wreck won, it means that, we'll probably do the sequels, add them to the sequel pile, because why not? So Rec, or short for Record, of course, is a found footage Spanish zombie film, and it follows a TV host. It's like a simple little local TV crew, and they are making a documentary about firefighters. It's called While You Were Sleeping, and they are going to spend the night with a fire team at a fire station, and maybe go out with them on a call and sort of show what they do and interview the firefighters, maybe some of the people who call them out, that kind of thing. But they get called out to this apartment where a crazy woman is locked in a room, and they break down the door, and oh no, zombie shenanigans ensue, and they get trapped in this apartment building by the local, I don't know what the equivalent in Spain is of the of CDC, but they're quarantined inside the building.
Basically the government or whatever.
Yeah. And they're trapped in there and try to figure out what's going on and what's, what these zombie-esque things are. So that is the premise of Wreck. And all of it is told through the perception, of course, of the camera operator who's there to film this documentary. Well, I think first and foremost, at least gives it more of a reason why they keep filming, because these are actually...
for sure.
This is someone who's trained to keep filming in most situations, and at least up until a point, they still think this is going to make a good episode of a TV show, so they're still just going.
I mean, it pretty quickly, solves the problem that, or the criticism a lot of people have of found footage movies, which is like, why are these people continuously filming? Why do they never set the camera down? And even throughout the movie, the host keeps telling the cameraman, like, keep filming, because they feel like, that's going to make a good episode. And also they kind of, they're like reporters and stuff, so they feel like, I don't know technically if you'd say the reporters, but they kind of like, they feel like they have a duty to capture this and show it to the world.
I feel like they're more like documentary filmmakers than they are journalists. But I mean, fine line. I suppose.
It seems like they still feel like, this is something important that we need to show, and it's kind of.
There's a shift as well where it shifts from being that's why they're filming, and this is kind of why some of the tenants of the building start to agree with them filming at some point, is that it's like, oh no, if the government try to wipe this all up, if they try and make this all confidential, this is the proof that all this happened, is what he's filming, so keep filming. And no one says that outright necessarily. At one point someone says it's the only proof we have that anything's going on, but that's kind of the implication, is that eventually it's like, no, we're going to keep filming because I'm worried that they're going to try and lie about this later. So
and then by the end there's a much more
practical
practical reason why they need to keep doing it too. So
so without further ado, Tim, you've seen it before, of course, but I'll ask the question for the sake of the show. Do you enjoy Wreck?
Oh yeah, I love it. I'm just glad we got to do it, because it's been a while since I've seen it, and rewatching it still really holds up. I would say it's probably one of the best found footage movies, at least in my personal opinion. And which I don't really have a bias against found footage stuff, but there is a lot of crappy ones. But this one, it definitely it uses like all the kind of techniques of found footage well, and like we said, there is an actual reason for it, and it's such a fast movie. Like it's I think about 14 minutes in, like we're already like kind of like in the thick of things.
I mean, it's 75 minutes long, and you get the feeling that you know, given that most horror movies tend to be about 90 minutes, you get the feeling that 15 minutes that's not there is probably taken from the usual opening half hour where we spend more time before we get to the shenanigans.
Yeah. But no, it's like it's fast paced and it's good. It kind of feels like it feels like there's like survival horror tropes like in here. Like there's like
little bit.
video gamey stuff that I can kind of which is not a bad thing. Like obviously both really like survival horror games, but there's kind of like stuff in there like I kind of get a sense of the apartment like the same way when you're playing in like an area in a horror game where it's like there's some parts that are inaccessible at first, and then you get to know stuff, and then you kind of unlock more areas, and they present more danger and stuff, and but it's great, and there's a lot of really cool effective scares.
I never really thought about it that way, but you're kind of right. There's it's only really two areas, but yeah, there's like the area behind the shutter, and then there's the office area, and then there's eventually the penthouse. Yeah, you're right. There's kind of like an unlocking of areas as the movie goes. No, I like it a lot as well. I think it is one of the best found footage movies. Debatably the best. I think it's fighting with like one or two other movies to really take that crown.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this just kind of on a whim back when it first came out. Now, admittedly, I think we all got to see it a little bit later because it came out in 2007 in Spain, but I think everyone else got it maybe like a year or two later.
Yeah. So this. I'm trying to put it into context here, like how big found footage was at the time. Like, was this something we were already sick of, or was it still somewhat new?
It was not. In fact, what's funny about this is that this came out the same year as, well, this was released in Spain, so not to us, but it was released in Spain the same year as Paranormal Activity started playing festivals, but not to the public.
Oh, okay.
Because Paranormal Activity didn't come out to the public until 2009. Right, and what I think is interesting is that I'm pretty sure Rec also came out, at least in the rest of the West, in late 2008, sometime in 2009. I don't know if it was after Paranormal Activity, but it wouldn't shock me if that's what eventually said, oh hey, we should put this out everywhere else, because
I can see that.
That just became a big thing. So it's actually right at the start of that phase where we started getting tons of them. I don't think this really contributed to getting a lot of them. I think Paranormal Activity did that, but it was definitely the start of that cycle. And now what I'll say about it is it's a very visceral movie. Like, it's a very visceral movie that everything that happens feels like it's really frantic and really... And part of that's because the camera's, of course, is a bit more shaky and moving around, but the zombies are very fast. We don't get tons of zombies right away. We start with one zombie, and it's a while before anything else happens. Like, there's a lot of, okay, what's going on here, what's happening, and dealing with this, and okay, so... And the zombie herself, this old woman who's covered in blood, is generally kind of terrifying, and just, they all scream in this, the rage style of zombies. But it fits for this type of, the premise they're going for in this movie, because it is different to, your slow, rambling, or hold up in a place zombie movie.
And I think it adds to it the fact that, like, for the most part, they kind of look like just normal people. Like, you can only really tell they're zombies usually because they're kind of like covered in blood and like looking like a little shambly and stuff. But they're not like, they don't look like decaying corpses or anything. Like, they mostly just look like people with kind of blood spattered on them. But then
just depends on what happened to them when they get bit. Like, because there's one or two where eventually their jaws are like hanging off and shit like that. But it just depends what happened to them, before they turned.
Yeah, but I think it like helps add to the fact that you have this, like kind of the first person nature of it, that just looks like a regular person filming something, and then the fact that it kind of looks like regular people. Like, it makes it a little more disturbing, like, to have like, oh, why is this like old lady in her underwear, like, coming at us and stuff. Like, it's crazy.
It does. There's an aura of authenticity about how it feels. It does feel like we're just out in the street one night with these firefighters, and it feels like this is a normal call that firefighters would get. There's simple little touches early on. We're not in spoilers yet, but like, I just want to mention a couple of little things. There's a moment early on, and this speaks to my own experience actually, when at the start of the movie when they're just around the fire station, and Angela, who's our main character, the presenter of this show, she like is going around. She's interviewing some of the firefighters and asking about what they do, what the calls they get, and so on. And she starts getting bored because they haven't had a call yet. Because a lot of the job is just waiting around for things to happen. And she goes out into the reception area, right? And there's two ladies who work there. And she even jokes and says, "Oh, hey, finally, so some women in the fire station," and she wants to talk to them. And one of them immediately gets really nervous and just makes an excuse and leaves. And that was so true to life to me. As someone who's like tried to like get random people to do interviews on the street, as part of university and stuff, most people are terrified of cameras. It is insane. And it's like, what does it matter? It's, you know, it's a frustrating thing. I just want to ask you some stupid questions about things. It's fine. But that played true to life to me. It was a little moments like that was like, okay, this feels like real people. This feels like a real world.
Yeah, definitely. And like even the like even some of the like the firemen and the cops that people get frustrated with, like that are I don't know, maybe like quote unquote like supposed to be kind of like a little more assholey people. Like they still don't feel like like over the top movie villains that are like like ordering people around and stuff. Like it feels like they are like doing the work that like a policeman or a fireman or something would do in that situation where trying to keep everyone down, like trying to follow like procedures and stuff, and while also trying to make sense of what's going on. So everything did feel like pretty like authentic.
Yeah, the most assholey character in the movies, the police guy probably, but even he, like, under the stress of him being the one who's in charge and trying to deal with all these tenants in this building,
like you see where he's coming from. Like it's
So no, it works in that sense. Obviously, other than like our main two characters, which is Angela and Pablo, the camera guy, we don't necessarily get to know a lot of characters that well, but they do a good job of making them feel like they have little quirks. Like the couple of firemen you get to know early on, it's like, okay, I understand who these two guys are, and then later on, the tenants. You get just enough of each of them in the little interviews or whatever that it's like, okay, right, I understand this is the old guy who's a little bit racist. We understand that this is the Asian couple. We understand that this is the mother with the daughter who had a dog that went to the vet, and we understand that this is the not a doctor, but he's like in medicine. Like he's like a nurse or something like that. And he's become the role of doctor though, because he's the one who's there to actually patch people up. We have all these, and it's just enough to understand who everyone is. So that things mean a little something when stuff starts happening, when chaos starts to unravel. So that's good. And before we get to spoilers, I do want to say I really like where this movie goes in terms of mythology at the end, and when it tries to kind of set up the explanation for what's going on. Largely just because it was so unexpected, and I wasn't expecting anything that actually explained whatever was going on, but also because it's kind of a unique explanation for a zombie outbreak. It's a unique path to take in this context.
Yeah, like especially because they already kind of set something up like earlier in the movie that you kind of like, I think like I see where this is like kind of coming from now, and then the end kind of like throws you this curveball. But I mean, I am the same boat. Like I absolutely love though like where they go with it, and without again, won't spoil the ending, but I will say I really really love the ending. Like the last little sequence I just think is so good and so creepy, especially in like a different way than the rest of the movie has been. Like
I think arguably the last 10 minutes is the best part of the movie. The rest of it's great, but the last 10 minutes is like, oh, here's why it's unique. Here's what kind of sets it apart. So no, I love what it does, because it opens all these questions up that make you think, but not in a way where you feel like you're unsatisfied from like getting anything explained. It opens all these questions up, like, oh wait, this is what's going on. Oh, okay. And like you say, it's got some of those survival horror elements where, and one of the things I love about survival horror is the idea that you go to a place, in the case of like Resident Evil, it's a mansion, and something's went wrong here, and you slowly start to discover why it's went wrong. You read diary entries, you find new locations that maybe help explain what happened here, what went wrong, and it has kind of that feeling to it at the end, and I like that. So
definitely.
So no, I'm down. Rec's great. Rec is was such a pleasant surprise when I saw it, because I sort of put it on not knowing anything, as I'm just watching your cats circle each other and possibly start fighting in a second. Yes, yes.
Uh,
One's licking the other. That means they're going to start fighting in about 10 seconds. Uh, so yeah, no, Rec's pretty good. So we'll give spoiler warning, full spoilers for Rec or Rickard or however people want to say it. REC. I actually have no idea what you're supposed to call it in terms of audibly.
I've always gone by Rec, but yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the specific is. I don't know. One thing I was trying to think of while I was watching it is if I like as a title, if I like Rec better or Quarantine, because I don't know, like something about Rec just I don't know, kind of sounds weird. Maybe it is because like when you see it, it's kind of like, oh yeah, should it be Record or something? But I don't know. I think both titles are fine, but
Yeah, I like REC or Rec well enough. It's a unique title and it works with what the movie's doing. It's funny though because the fourth movie's not found footage, so the fourth movie actually is just called Rec Apocalypse because it's part of the franchise.
Is that the one that starts at the wedding, or is that
No,
the
that's
third?
three. That's three.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't think I've seen 4 then.
Oh, four is the conclusion to the saga.
Oh, okay.
I suppose we should do Quarantine after we've done the 4 Rec movies as well, just to wrap up the whole thing. I've never seen Quarantine. That's the only one I've not seen. Is the remake.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't think it's horrible, but it's like
Pointless.
it's one of the well, it's one of those ones where it's like, I mean, if you've seen Rec, you don't need to see it. Yeah, like I actually like my yeah, like my wife yesterday because she's seen them both, and yeah, she was like, oh yeah, I watched Rec and then like immediately watched Quarantine after, and I was like, wow, that was pointless. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I also because I think it's I forget her Jennifer Carpenter from Dexter, who's the lead character in the remake. She's okay, but I can't imagine liking her as much as Angela in this one.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she does a good enough job. Like, I feel like she's a good, I guess, like American equivalent to do that. But yeah, I think Angela's, I don't know, feel for her a little bit more. But.
Yeah. So, no, so we'll get to those. It's funny because obviously I usually have the IMDb page up just so I can glance at names and stuff as we're talking. And it says obviously in the more like this it recommends Rec 2. And I never really think I noticed this before, but the poster for Rec 2, it has like the red eyeball is kind of the red, the recording symbol in the title. I just never noticed that before. I thought it was neat.
Oh,
okay. All right, Tim's not that impressed. Okay, so no, the ending of Rec is kind of wild because they set up these things throughout the movie. One of the big memorable moments that I always that always stuck out to me is when the little girl who we think is what is she supposed to have? The mum keeps saying she's just something.
Oh, tonsillitis.
Tonsillitis, that was it. But it's the moment when the daughter bites the mom's nose basically off.
Yeah.
And they kind of realize it. I mean, because they eventually send in this scientist and he's in a hazmat suit, right? And they're all like, looking terrified because why are they sending people in hazmat suits? And he's clearly told the firemen and the policemen some stuff because we have that scene where the camera guy's kind of just looking in the crack in the window so they can see some of this. And one of the zombies attacks the guy because 2 of them get injured early on, and those 2 end up becoming zombies, of course. So the scientist eventually comes clean that we tracked this from a vet. There was a dog that started attacking all the other dogs, and we'd already heard about this dog that went to the vet, and they said that they tracked the dog back to this apartment building, and this is when Angela's like, "Wait, was the dog's name Max?" And they all turn around and look at the mother and daughter, and this is the scene where the daughter like bites her mom's nose off. And this is kind of where the movie kind of unravels because there's a level of peace. Like after the first attack with the woman, which is a very creepy shot attack, might I add, with her screaming. It kind of calms down, and it's kind of after that it's about learning who the tenants are and kind of try to figure out what's going on. And then from this moment where the daughter bites the nose off, it kind of is just chaos. Where there's round around, there's trying to hide in apartments, there's trying to find keys. The old racist guy thinks that there's a key for the sewer tunnel or whatever in the doctor's house, so they try to get that, and then they get trapped enough that they have to run up to the penthouse, and they've got all the keys, so they get into the penthouse, And it turns out the doctor was lying about who was in there, and the doctor had been using this as, I want to say, a lab, kind of. It's like, it's got, yeah, there's scientific equipment about, but there's also recordings, there's like newspaper clippings all over the walls, and it tells the story of this girl who was possessed, this Portuguese girl, who was possessed, and they tried to exorcise her, but it didn't work. And it turns out she can spread this virus. So the unique twist on this movie, on the zombie part of this movie, is that it's not actually like an organic or bioengineered virus. It is a virus that's spread from someone who was possessed, which is a neat idea.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like I like that they kind of have like like they kind of are able to do like both the scientific and the supernatural, because like earlier, you know, when they have the stuff with like the dog and spreading the virus, it kind of makes it sound like it's like, oh, was this like some kind of like form of rabies or something, like some weird mutated, like there's a scientific, you know, aspect of it that, yeah, I feel like we're a little more used to. But then I like at the end they're like, no, but we're also going to do like this creepy supernatural element to it, which yeah, like in the wrong way could have been like cheesy or whatever, but the way they present it, and you know, just the, you know, the doctor's penthouse is just so creepy, like with all it, you know, it's all dark, and like there's just, you know, I can like, you know, kind of all this religious iconography all over the place, and it's just so really well done that it's you know, it's like, oh, this is actually like a really cool, like unique idea, yeah, because having this element to it.
They start listening to an audio recording, again, very survival horror, of the doctor recording his thoughts and talking about how the girl needs to be killed. She has to be killed or we're screwed. And we even see that, you know, they broke her out of a hospital because she was in a hospital somewhere, and they broke her out with the intention of killing her. But something's went wrong. Something's went wrong. He's been doing tests on like on our virus and stuff, and he's like, oh, this could be contagious. This could be a thing. So she's like, this like patient zero for the zombie outbreak. And of course, that's when things get really creepy, because they hear noises, they look up in the attic, and eventually the camera light gets broken. Because this whole section, because it's too dark, the power won't turn on. So they're using the light on the camera to light things up. So it's got this very kind of tunnel vision kind of light effect, right? Where it's only the wherever the camera's pointing has the circle of light and nothing else. But then the light gets smashed, and it becomes night vision mode. And that's what they're using. And this is when we get this creepy... And it's funny that we've been compared to survival horror, and I've mentioned Resident Evil, because I can't not see this character, this you know, this possessed girl, and not think a little bit of Lisa Trevor from Resident Evil Remake.
Okay, I can see that.
I get some vibes. She doesn't make the same noises or anything like that, but it's the way she's kind of lunging around really slowly, and she's holding a hammer in her hand. I think that's the moment when you know she's holding a hammer, you're like, oh shit, like, and you know, of course they're sneaking around, they're trying to be quiet. They play with the idea that Angela actually can't see anything because she's not holding the camera, and they're in the dark, so the cameraman's kind of trying to direct her, but without making too much noise. But eventually, you know, the possessed girl like notices them and screams at them, runs at them, and bashes his head into the camera. And actually, one of the biggest problems I'll say with Quarantine, having not seen it, is that the poster spoils the final shot of the movie.
Oh, I don't remember the poster, but that's dumb if they do that.
Yeah, it's the same final shot as this movie, where Angela's lying down and looking at the camera in the night vision, and then gets dragged off into the darkness. Because that's how we end.
that is annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. She. I mean. All right. So probably an obvious question, but we're basically assuming that this creature at the end is the possessed girl, right? Like.
Yes. I would assume that.
Okay, I figure as much, but yeah, just making sure. But yeah, she just looks so creepy, and it's and I think it helps that it's like in night vision mode. Like you don't really, you know, get like a good glimpse of her. But I don't like. I'm curious, like how they really like.
She's a very unnatural body. They obviously cast a very skinny actress to play this, but they gave her like these really weirdly displaced like body parts, like like her breasts are kind of like weirdly like wide, and like one's like kind of really high up, and her jaws kind of like dislocated kind of looking, and She's got a very weird, otherworldly kind of creepiness. A slender woman, you might even call her.
uh, she would destroy Slenderman.
She would. Slenderman is just not a chance.
But yeah, I'm curious though, like like if they did use a lot of prosthetics, or if they just did find like, hey, you're a really skinny, creepy looking person, like just just swing this hammer around. But yeah, it makes it so tense. And then and you mentioned earlier, like a lot of the movies, it's very fast, chaotic, visceral, and then it's so cool that they're able to just kind of stop that on a dime, and then like, yeah, it's like, yeah, we gave you this adrenaline rush for like an hour, and now we're gonna like slow it down, and we're just gonna give you this really like, it's a lot quieter, it's a lot darker, it's a lot creepier, and it's really really satisfying. And like the whole movie up to then has been good, but this ending just really seals it as like, wow, this is like definitely like a unique, cool movie.
Yeah, no, I love the ending of this movie, and I love, again, a lot of the elements we see. I love horror movies where it's like a bottle movie where they're trapped in a location and they're in one safe location, and they know other parts are dangerous, so they have to try and figure out plans to like get out. Like that's just some of my favorite kind of like mechanics in a movie, right? And this movie uses that. A lot of there's a lot of bad movies that use this as well, but this is one of the best movies to use this kind of thing. And it kind of goes back to why I like survival horror, the idea of a safe room, right? The idea of the save room in Resident Evil is like, oh, we're safe in here, right? I can make some plans before I go back out into the zombie-infested mansion, right? It's kind of that same feeling.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I like the idea too of like the whole building's quarantine. So when they do try to like get out, it's just like these blaring lights and like people with guns and like megaphones, like just telling them like, do not even try to escape here. Like it gives a sense of like, ooh, like it's this nice mystery too of like, all right, what's going on in the outside world? Is it just this building? What is like so bad that these people are so scared of it getting out?
I think it is just this building. If I have any complaints though, it's very minor. I will say that the quarantine does get set up very fast, because our characters come into the building, and by the time they run down from the first attack, which is within 5 or so minutes, the building's already been sealed off. And I guess the argument is that when they arrive, there's already some police cars there, so maybe they were already like coming to quarantine it, right? It's just really unfortunate timing that our crew went in when they did. And that's why it was already done by the time they tried to get back out. But I mean, it's a minor nitpick.
I mean, I feel like, say this very seldom, but this movie could have been a little longer. Like, I don't think, like, I mean, another 5 or 10 minutes, really? Like, I don't know if it would have hurt it that much. But
where would you put it, though? Because would you put it at the start to, like, fill out who the characters are a little bit more? Would you? That's
what I would think. Yeah, maybe just a little more. I definitely wouldn't say that it needs it, but, probably wouldn't hurt it too much.
All that's missing is a self-destruct sequence at the end to make it a proper Resident Evil style.
Oh yeah, there was like a little creepy kid in the like attic or whatever of that room. He could have easily thrown a rocket launcher down to Angela.
I mean, actually, that's the odd comparison to survival horror. It's like, obviously in survival horror, again thinking of Resident Evil, you have zombies as your main enemy, but you eventually get to boss fights, right? And it kind of feels like this possessed girl is the boss fight. She's
definitely.
The new element that's introduced towards the end. I'm almost disappointed we didn't get the zombie dog. We hear about a zombie dog. We never get to see him though.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have been fun. Maybe the extra 10 minutes in the middle that we're missing is when they find the zombie dog.
Yeah, like you could have said something like, oh, like since Max got back from the vet, he's been acting weird or something, and then show him in a room or something. That could have been cool. Or again, Resident Evil, but if he burst through a window, would be pretty cool. One of my other like favorite scenes, like other than the ending and everything, is I love they handcuff one woman to the stairwell because she's like kind of acting like hysterical and stuff. So
it's the mum after the daughter bites her.
Yeah. so they handcuff her there, and then there's a great scene when once they realize that they have to go upstairs, but then she is handcuffed to the stairwell, so she's waiting right there for them, and it's like it looks like there's enough room that you can easily get around, but still just the idea of them like looking at her and realizing like, oh shit, we got to go by there.
Yeah, because she's turned into a zombie by now, and they kind of have to like go single file in the opposite set, the wall, so that they're just out of her reach, so she can't get to them. No, it's a neat little trick. Because they've got the two guys, who get bit early on and they're kind of sick for a long time before they become zombies. They eventually start coming out of that. Because even the idea of a shutter like this is very survival horror to me. There's a shutter somewhere that's going to get picked up at some point. But this is when they start coming through the shutter. So it's like, okay, shit. We have at least 4 zombies now in this building. And I think that's what's impressive about it as well, is that it makes every single zombie feel like, oh, this is now infinitely harder because there's 2, or now there's 3, as opposed to just, oh, there's 500. Like, it's like each additional zombie makes their life that much more difficult in this movie. So by the time we have 4 or 5, it's like, okay, we're just screwed now.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not like a huge apartment building. Like I think there's like 2 like apartments on each floor.
Yeah, so it's like 4 floors, something like that. The penthouse is like the 4th or 5th floor. It's not,
so
it's not huge.
So it's not like there's like a ton of people, but it's like every time they have to do something and then just realizing like, all right, we got to go like to this room or this floor, but we know like this person's there, that person's there. Yeah. It's like
that's that survival horror planning. Where's definitely dangerous. Where might be safe. You're trying to think of where to go. It's that sort of stuff that I love.
Yeah. And like characters that like you left behind before or like weren't thinking about like coming back later as like a nice little surprise and stuff. That's always cool.
It's a fairly upper class apartment building when I think about it, because part of the reason why there's only two apartments per floor is because they're really big. Like when they go inside, there's a big long, like apartments you tend to think of as quite a small thing, but these have really big long hallways. They have really big massive living rooms. They're clearly, it's clearly a well off apartment building for people who can afford it.
Yeah.
So. But you sound really upset. Oh, I want an expensive apartment now.
Oh no!
I want a creepy penthouse with science experiments gone wrong and possessed girls. I wonder. I don't know if it comes up in this more in the other sequels about how if there's more to the mythology to how it started, but. I do wonder if like the scientific side of it is why it started to spread. Like maybe the reason why it started to jump around is actually still the fault of science. Like because of the tinkering they were doing. Yeah. It made it contagious or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely an interesting idea. It's I feel like it's a there's a tightrope you got to kind of walk though, because I feel like it could very easily become like pretty cheesy.
But, sure, yeah. It's just because it ties back into the idea you've got this supernatural element, this demonic element, but at the same time, it's still the idea that man meddles and then things go wrong because he meddles, right? And that leads to the apocalypse, essentially. But no, I'm looking forward to doing the sequels actually because they're by and large pretty enjoyable. There's good stuff to come. So
I'm actually a little bit excited to do that too, because I'm pretty sure I saw the second one, but I don't think I remember anything at all. I know for sure I saw the third one because I remember like all the stuff at the wedding and then kind of the weird like half found footage, half not nature of it. And then the fourth one I don't know if I did see. If I did, I don't remember.
The third one's a really interesting tonal shift. Because the third one, I remember, like, not feeling into it, and then it got to a point where I realised, oh, this just wants to have fun. And then it got really fun. Yeah. It's an interesting movie. And then 4 I'll save for when we do it. But 2 is an interesting one, because 2 kind of is set in the same night. It kind of picks up right where we leave off, almost. And I actually saw 2 in the theatre. I got to see 2 in the theatre, which was cool.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool.
Back when I was in the city theatre more often and they were playing it, so that was a fun experience. But no, and because 2 came out in 2009, it must have been really soon after I'd seen the first one, because we got the first one so late comparatively.
Oh, cool.
Which is cool. So
Well, yeah, I mean, the first one, I think, was kind of a hit. Like, I remember like people definitely talking about it when it came out.
mm.
Like, I don't know if it was a huge success, but at least like horror nerds like devoured it.
Yeah, I mean, as much as foreign movies can be successes, because obviously
Sure.
so many people just won't watch subtitled movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the first one's great. It's visceral, it's exciting, it's tense. The last 10 minutes is creepy and opens up all these mythological doors it's fun to start theorizing and thinking about it and like,
Yeah.
okay, so this is actually some demonic entity that's spreading the zombie virus. It makes more sense. It's almost like, oh, this demons came from hell to just take over the earth. And
Yeah.
here we are.
I wouldn't mind. Like, I don't know if it's something they should do in the movie, but like I would kind of be down for maybe some type of supplemental material where like I don't know, maybe like a short or like a I don't know, a small like graphic novel or something that kind of shows some of the stuff the doctor went through researching it and yeah, like finding the girl and stuff. Like I might be interested in some of that.
Yeah. And credit to the cast who are pretty solid.
Oh yeah.
Manuela Velasco, who plays Angela, she goes from the chirpy like presenter who gets kind of bored because things are boring, then gets really into the reporting of it when things get exciting. But she also then has to go through this. Oh shit, this is actually really dangerous. Oh shit, we may actually die. Oh shit, to the outright horror, like we're trying to survive in the last act kind of thing.
Yeah.
It goes through kind of a gauntlet of emotions, and the camera dude's kind of interesting because you never get to see him, of course, and you hear him speaking every so often, but he's not like a super like presence in the movie, right?
Yeah.
She's someone he's someone for her to talk to more than anything else, but
Yeah.
no, it's interesting. So, but
And
no, good cast.
oh yeah, and props to the filmmaking too. Like I think sometimes people think found footage is probably easy to do because you just kind of point in a camera here and there, and there are probably other movies that maybe that's true, but with this it seems like there was a lot of just continuous shots. Like I was thinking like, oh, like man, they probably had to really plan and make sure everyone was going to be able to be in place and like to have everything worked out.
Yeah, obviously there's some actual cuts in the movie when they stop recording. But even some of the long takes, I assume there's probably some hidden cuts just to make it easy to shoot because there's only so long you go. But yeah, some of the shots like start on the ground floor and go up multiple flights of stairs. I have to imagine they had an actual full building rather than having different sets that were built. Like it feels like they had to have one location they can move through, like and keep shooting. What actually gets me about stuff like this, especially when you're in like the group shots and the ground floor and the camera's like sort of zipping around and looking at various people all around the room, is how, contrary to regular filmmaking, there can't be like anyone from the crew in the room really, right? Because normally you'd all be shooting from one angle, so you'd have the director and the crew all standing behind them. I have to imagine one of the benefits of doing this and having like the camera operator be a character but obviously never be on screen is that I imagine he had like an earpiece and was constantly being directed to the earpiece from the director who for many shots couldn't even be in the room with them. They'll be in another hidden room somewhere watching the monitors and like right pan around now, right, make sure you do that now and do this and do that and, so it's just super interesting to think about the filmmaking process.
Yeah, and there's like some cool stuff too. Like, there's scenes where like, like someone will, touch like the camera's microphone or whatever. So like the sound will go out for a little bit or become kind of like, like white noise-ish. So like there's like cool like effects like that just kind of add to the realness of it.
Yeah, there's one scene where the little girl like, turns on the camera when she's not supposed to, and it's just this out of focus shot that's sitting there for like a minute, and it's like. Just little slice of life moments that just make it feel a bit more real. If I'm going to critique anything, at one point she asked to see something, and we actually see the footage rewind and replay the thing.
Oh yeah,
that's a little bit weird to me because if you rewind and watch footage, at least in my experience with all the cameras I've used, it just means you've stopped recording, so you wouldn't see any of it in the recording. So that feels a bit weird to me, but I mean, if you're going to tell me some cameras do that, then I'll believe you. But
Yeah, yeah, that's I thought I forgot about that until you mentioned it, but yeah, as when I was watching it, I was like, all right, this is a little weird and also like unnecessary. Like we just watched it, we don't need to
that's it.
see it.
I do like the idea of her wanting to see some of the footage immediately and be like, what did we just look
Oh, yeah.
at? Especially since this is the first attack. This is the crazy woman like running at him and biting the guy, and like three of them have to wrestle her down. I actually love the idea of her turning to the camera guy and going, hey, let's look at that right now. I want to see that again.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
it's silly that we see it again, but it makes a lot of sense for her to want to see it immediately.
oh yeah, yeah, it's actually another thing that like I feel like is a kind of common complaint with found footage movies when like people won't believe someone and it's like you literally just like taped proof of this ghost or this monster or whatever. It's like you can just show the person, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I love the idea in found footage movies, if they're going to play with it, to actually use the footage in the plot in some way.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's a small little thing, but I like that a lot. So, but no, so, no, that's Wreck. That's Wreck. I guess we'll rate the movie. Timbo, what were you rating Wreck out of 10? Do you give it a recommendation?
That's pretty good. No, yeah, obviously I would. Yeah, this is fantastic. I'm gonna give it a 9. Which yeah, I mean, I don't have to defend it. 9, it's great.
Yeah, I no, 9 for me as well. I agree with the 9. And what's impressive, this is the third time I've seen it. I saw it the first time, I saw it the second time, maybe a couple of years later, showing it to some friends. This was the third time I've watched it, and this was a bigger gap, obviously, because I saw it maybe in 2008, 2009, saw it again 2010 maybe. So it's been 8 years, and it holds up.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing, like going into this viewing, it was like, I hope this holds up as well as I remember it, and it does. So
yeah, especially at a time now where I feel like the zombie craze has kind of it's slowed down a little bit, but like zombies and found footage were such like a huge thing for a while that going back and watching it now, it's like, am I going to roll my eyes and be like, all right, we've seen all this before or whatever? But no, it holds up fantastic. And just a credit to the, filmmaking and the storytelling, and is just really, really fantastic.
And as much as it hints at all these bigger things, it keeps it relatively simple in how it actually functions as a movie, which is actually the smartest thing I think. The smartest thing I think they did, because keeping it simple, keeping it this group of characters in the building, is what makes it easy to follow, despite all the chaos that's going on. So no, Wreck is great. So by all means, go out and find it and get wrecked. So
yeah, I know. I watched it. I don't own it, unfortunately. I would. Maybe I should check to see if there's a nice Blu-ray or collection or something. I would get it. But
I got here.
Is it just the first one, or?
That's just the first one, yeah. I've got the first 3 individually. I don't have the 4th one yet.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I should probably pick it up at some point. But I actually watched it. It was on Hulu, and it was good timing too, because I was looking at like my movie list of stuff, and they have a little section for like, hey, stuff on your list that's expiring soon, and that was on it. So I was like, oh shit, gotta watch it.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. That's convenient.
But if anyone's watching it and has Hulu, you probably have at least a couple of days.
Time is running out. Yeah. So save yourself the iTunes rental, I suppose. Watch it on Hulu first.
I feel like this is one though that's usually streaming a lot of places. I know for a while, I think at least a couple of the sequels were on Netflix. So I'm
pretty sure they were on Shudder at some point. I could have sworn I remember seeing the poster on the list, but
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is Wreck. So let us know what you think of the movie in the comments. We will add the sequels to the ever-growing list of sequels to do. Because I think the next sequel we're recording is the next Howling. But just to put it in perspective, we are now working through what's left of Howling, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. We are now also working through the Leprechaun movies, the Wreck movies,
Hellraiser.
And the Hellraiser movies, yeah, because that won the vote. So that is everything going on. And Scream. I forgot we're doing Scream sequels as well. Jesus, Tim. I haven't added those to the list. We're going to be working. I mean, we'll probably finish Nightmare, Freddy, and Howling.
Yeah, we don't have a ton left with those.
But all the other ones, I think we'll still be working on those come like next Halloween.
Yeah.
We'll be like maybe 7 movies deep, but we'll still be on them. Jesus. All right. Well, we might finish Rec because Rec and Scream only have 4 movies, so I mean that's the one saving grace with those. But so yeah, and we're juggling that with new movies, of course, as well. So actually, one thing just to point out before we wrap up. I think we're going to put a slight delay on when we do our top 10s of the year, just so we have some time at the start of next year to like squeeze in some stuff that we've missed, especially some stuff that maybe won't come out in home release until maybe January and maybe even into February. I'm thinking something like Suspiria, which wasn't available near me when it came out. So I'm hoping that we can maybe, because we do the regular movie awards and when the Oscars happen towards the end of February, so Screams may end up following a similar path. Even though it's fun to do this stuff at the end of the year, it might not be the best fit this year.
That's fair.
So just warning you, don't worry though, we have Christmas and New Year's movies planned, so it's not like you're going without your Screams fix as we go into the end of the year. So
I mean, there's still plenty of movies to do. So
that said, the Christmas and New Year's movies basically delay all the sequels for a few weeks. So we'll get to them soon. But hey, so that is us. So thank you very much. Let us know what you thought of Rec in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. If you do want to support the channel and everything we do here and support the show, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and you can do that over there. Like we said, the voting's up. You've got a few days left. By the time this goes up, you'll have a few days left to vote for this month's Screams vote. The voting this month is all movies that ranked fairly highly on our top 50 movies of the 80s that we did recently.
Oh, right.
But we haven't done before, of course. So so there's 4 movies there. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, so I'm not going to tell you them. But you go have a look. And if you want to think about becoming patron, even at the $1 tier, $1 is fantastic and amazing, and we love you loads if you consider it. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we'll see you next.